Hi friends, Sharon from Mad Paper Crush here. Today I wanted to just do a little craft with me tutorial on making these stacked pockets. I don't have a die cut machine, so I have to make these by hand. I'm saving up for a die cut machine. I just don't have the money yet, but I wanted to make these little pockets where I could put tags and note cards and maybe some tickets in. And I did two different kinds. One where you create the pockets on a page and put it right on a page in your signatures or in your journal. And then another one where it's sort of hidden inside the page itself. So this one right here, these pockets are sort of built into the page. And then when you open it up, you can't see the back there. And this pocket that I made here is what sort of holds these in place. So I hope that you'll join me and create some of these stacked pockets with me. Okay, so what we're going to need for this project is the paper that you're going to use to make the pockets. You're going to need your signatures or the measurements for your pages so you know how big you want to make that. A ruler, a pencil, a craft knife, and something to punch holes. So you could use a regular size hole punch if you'd like, but I have this little one I think it's about 1/8 of an inch, and that's the size that I would like to use. Now, just to show you, I do have this Making Memories hole punch thing that has a couple of different size hole punches that you could use as well. So you just need something that punches a hole. So this is what I'm going to use, this thing, but you could use anything that punches a hole. Okay, so I have all my signatures ready to go, and I just need to decide where I want this, which I've already decided. I have this book page here that I really like, but it has, it has a lot of words on it, so I thought it would be fun to use this pocket here to be able to stuff it full of stuff to, cover up some of these words and things like that. So my pages are 5.5 inches wide and 8.5 inches tall. So I want my pocket holder to be, I'm going to do it about 5 inches wide so that it covers most of the page. And then I'm going to do it about 4 inches tall. So let me just move those out of the way. And this is just a piece of paper that matches the pages of the signature that I'm doing. And so I'm going to cut this down to, let's do 5 inches wide. Oh, where'd the top of my cutter go? Okay, let's try this again. The top of my cutter popped off so that just the blade was in there. I don't know what happened there. All right, so let's try this again. I want to cut this down to 5 inches wide, and then I'm going to cut it down to 4 inches tall. And that's the size that I want to start with. And I'll put these aside because I'm sure I will use those later. Now we're going to have to do some marking. Since I don't have a die cut machine, I'm saving up, you guys, for a die cut machine, but I don't have one yet. And so I want to make these lines in this here. So what I'm going to do is on the back side, and make sure that I have it, whatever, if your pattern needs to be right side up, make sure that you look at that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some marks. So the first marks that I want to make are 1/2 inch in from each side. So that's where I want my little lines to start, my pocket lines to start. So I'm just going to make a 1/2 inch mark line on either side. And then I want 3 lines. So I think I'm gonna, just to make sure there's enough room at the bottom, I think I'm gonna come up 3/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to go, now let me just make sure that's gonna work. 3/4 of an inch, it'll be about here. And then that'll be my first line. And then I'll do 1 inch lines up from that. And I think that'll be good because that'll give me a little over 1 inch at the top. And I think that's what I wanna do. And actually, I could just go, since it's 4 inches, I could just go 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, and that might keep things a little bit more even. So let's go ahead and do that. So just depending on the size of your paper and, you know, where you want things to be, obviously you can make these closer together or further apart, depending on whatever you want. So I'm just making inch marks down, whoops, down the paper so that I have my 3 lines. And I think that'll be good. They'll be nice and centered. Sometimes symmetrical is good. And then what I'm going to do at each crossing, so where each line has crossed here, that's where I'm going to punch my holes. So these are going to be my side holes where we're going to make, whoops, the, oh man, having a problem here, where we're going to make our lines from. So I'm just lining these up with the crosshairs there, the cross lines. They aren't crosshairs. And then what I'm going to do is on the back again, I'm going to cut my lines in. Now you could just cut one line through and have a place to tuck things in, but I want to make a little bit bigger hole to tuck things in. So what I'm going to do is on this line that I've made with my pencil, I'm going to use my ruler and I'm going to cut one line to the left of that pencil line and one line to the right of that pencil line. So I'm going to start on the right hand side so I can kind of see how far I've gone. And you want to be sure when you line up your ruler that your ruler is over a little bit of the hole, because when you cut the line, you want to go from the hole that we cut on one end to the hole that we cut on the other end. And then I'm just going to move my ruler to the left side of that line, once again, making sure I still have some of the hole available for me to use to cut when I cut my craft knife. And I'm going to cut a line there. And you can see my little piece that I pulled out is very small, but it's given me a nice pocket hole to put things in. So I'm going to do the same thing on all these other ones. And I'm going to start on the right hand side, making sure I'm as even as possible on the right hand side. Whoops, and my ruler moved. On the right hand side of that pencil line and the left hand side of the pencil line. And the ruler did move a little bit, but it looks okay. So make sure you're holding your ruler down very well before you start to cut. All right, and let's do the last one. So let's see. One on the right hand side and one on the left hand side. And that one looks really small. So I'm going to try to go in and see if I can fix that up a little without tearing anything. And that didn't work at all. All right, so let me try it this way. See if I can get that. I don't know if my ruler moved again or what exactly happened there. There we go. I don't know why that piece didn't come out. But you can go back in there, you know, carefully and resize things. And once again, I'm winging it because I don't have a die cut machine. So here is my little pocket holder. I don't even know what you call these. And I want to make the edges look a little fun. So I'm just going to crimp the edges with my little crocodile cutter here. And I'm using, this is the Cloud Edge. That looks fun. So now, when I have my signature ready to go, and I don't know if I'm going to put this on the inside or the outside here. I think I might like this on the inside because that looks nice against the blank tea-dyed paper there. And so then when I put this in, I'm going to take my glue and I'm just going to glue around the 4 edges. So I want to keep these middles open so that when I tuck things in there, I don't have to worry about them being stuck anywhere. So let me get my glue going. Maybe. And you just want to, on the top and bottom edges, just try to stay close to the top and bottom edge. The sides, you know, they aren't, obviously you want it on the edges, but you can come in a little bit towards the holes and that'll be okay. So make sure my pattern's right side up. And I'm just going to place that in there just like that. And my glue needs some acetone or something because it is starting to bubble out. All right. And now I haven't gotten all the ephemera together that I'm going to use for this, but you can see here, let me let that dry just a bit. Let me see, I'll pull something out that I have around here. So you can see I have a little pocket here. Maybe I could put some tickets or something in. And then I have one here that's a little bit bigger. And then I have a third one here that's even bigger. And you could leave this open too if you wanted a pocket to go all the way down. So that's, you know, an option for you as well. And there you have it. Okay, I wanted to go through one other option for making these kind of things. So the one that we made, we actually just, we made the pockets right on the card that we put on. But now I wanted to do one where the pockets were actually built into the page. So it didn't look like, you know, we had glued something on. And we're going to be gluing something on the back to hold our pockets. So let me kind of show you what I mean. So I'm going to put these sort of hidden pockets on this page here. And I'm going to use these as sort of identifiers. So the same thing, I'm going to do the same thing that I did for the other one. I'm going to cut the paper that I want to, let's see, I want them to be wide. So I'm going to cut this down to 5 inches. Because that's how wide I want them to be. But then I'm only going to need about, well, maybe about the same amount, about 4 inches or so, just to be sure. So I'm just going to cut this out of this paper. And then what we'll do is we're going to make little sort of identifiers, I guess I'm going to call them. Whoops, and let me do this. So now I want to cut this down. So where's my, this is my 5. So I'm going to cut these down to about a little less than an inch. It might be easier for me to do it this way. So I think I'm going to do about 7/8 of an inch. And I'm going to cut 3 of them at 7/8 of an inch. Okay. And then we're going to do the same thing that we did with the one piece of paper, but we're just going to do it on the 3 here. So I'm still going to use my hole punch. We're still going to mark the hole and the center where we want it. And we're still going to do the same lines as we did before. So once again, I'm doing it on the back side of the paper that I want to use, and I'm just doing a middle line. And because this is dark, I have to go a little bit heavier with my line. And I'm just eyeballing the center based on, you know, we did it about 7/8 of an inch. So I'm just lining it up in between an inch on my board here. And then I'm going to do the same thing where I mark it at a 1/2 inch on each side so that I know where my holes go. All right, so I'm going to mark this now. Let me get a smaller thing here. And just mark my 1/2 inch on each side. Now the thing about this one is you probably will need, like my hole punch that I'm getting ready to use for this is not going to go through the paper itself. So, you know, I can only get this so far into this paper. So I'm going to need to use my big crocodile or my hole punch, my Memory Maker's hole punch to do this. So, and I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. So now that you've got your 1/2 inch marks on either side of these and your center line marked, we know where our holes are going to be. So I'm going to be punching 2 holes, but I want to punch these holes now so that I'll be able to see where I have to punch them in my page. So once again, I'm just punching at where my lines crossed. Okay, so I can see all my holes there. And then I'm also going to just decorate these edges a little bit as well. I think this time I'm just going to use the scallop edge. I think that'll look nice on here. If I can make this work since these are so small. This might not work. I might have to cut another one, folks. Yeah, that's not going to work. Darn. Okay, sorry about that. I had to cut an extra one because that one that I did at first really didn't turn out the way I wanted it to on the corner edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to round the edges using my punch board here. So it has a corner rounder built in. So I'm just going to round these corners. Okay, I got my crocodile out because we're going to need that. Or if you have that Memory Maker hand punch, you could use that as well. Okay, so now I have my 3 little sort of markers here, and I have to decide where I want them to go. So I want these to be just kind of in the middle of the page, I think. I think that'll be plenty of room for me to, you know, put things in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first take this out of the signature here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these down where I want them, leaving the middle open. So I'm just going to glue around the outside edges here because we're going to cut our lines in and we want them to be open. Now, I'm doing this just through one page, so when I cut that, you'll be able to see the holes here. So this will be the other page. But then what I've done is I have prepared like a pocket that I want to go on this side of the page. And when we glue this down, this will cover up the holes. And I should probably just verify that, yeah. So when we glue this down, it'll cover up the holes so that we can have our pockets on the other side and you won't even be able to tell that the holes are here. So hopefully this will work, you know, the way that I'm thinking it will. So let me get I'm going to use my glitter glue for this. And like I said, I want these about in the middle of the page. And let's see. I'll have this one be the middle since it has the most lines. And once again, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue around the outside edges. And then I'm going to put this down right where I want it. And then I'm going to do the same with the other two. Okay. Now, I just wanted to give them just a minute to set up, make sure I'm not going to be moving them around. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to use my 1/8 of an inch hole punch, and I'm going to go through all the holes that I had already made on this, just through the one layer. Okay. And now I have my holes in here, and I'm going to cut our lines in. So I'm get my craft knife back out here, and we're going to do the same thing that we had done before. Now I don't have a line here. You could make a pencil line if you wanted to, but I'm just going to eyeball it. So I'm going to put my ruler to the left of the circle that we punched. And then I'm just going to move it a little bit down so that I'm cutting that little line in there. And let's do it again. And our last one. Okay. So now you can see we have our lines cut in here. And now what I'm going to do before I glue my pocket on is I'm just going to put a little distress ink where the lines are so that it's not so bright when it comes through there. I like that it's seen, but I don't want it to be so stark, I guess. So I'm just thinking that'll do. So now when we glue this down, you'll be able to see where the edges are so that you can slide things in there. So once we do that, we'll be able to slide things in here like this. And let's go ahead and glue it down so you can see that better. Okay, so what we have to do now, I did, because I measured these for 5 inches and did the things only a 1/2 inch in, my page is just going to cover that. So I'm just going to be real careful that when I put the glue on, I stay as close to the edge as I can, and I'm going to stay close to the bottom so that our pockets can be deep. But towards the top, I can come down a little bit, which I'm going to do. So actually, I'm just going to measure kind of where I want my pocket. So I want it to be not quite to the bottom of the page. And then, so I can just make a little line here so that I know I can glue all of this down, and then I'll stay around the edges for the bottom part so that our pockets are open from the other side. So let me go ahead and do that. I'm putting some additional glue up here, but then around the bottom, I'm keeping it very close to the bottom and close to the edges. I'm just going to spread that out a little. Okay. So now when I put that down, make sure I cover up my holes. Move it just a tad. I think I got it a little too close there. And I glued my strings, so I'm pulling them out. I love to have my little strings dangling there. And we'll give that a second to dry. Okay, my pocket is all dry over here. So let me show you what it would look like in the signature. So I have my signature pages. I'm going to put them back in. So when you get to the page, you can see it's just looks like a normal page here. When you flip it, you have your pocket to put things in over here. But the cool thing is now you have sort of these built-in pockets right here to put tags and note cards and things like that. And this back one is nice and big, so you could put a nice big tag in there and it'll hold it right in the page there. So I hope you like this tutorial making these stacked pockets. I hope that you will create some of your own. And I hope if you like this video, you'll give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye-bye.